All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're breaking down how you can use eye tracking to make your product literally fly off the shelves. We're going to dive into the data, the tools, and a step-by-step process to turn your packaging into your most effective salesperson.
Just 3 seconds. In a busy store packed with hundreds of other products, that's all the time you get. That's how long your package has to grab a shopper's attention. And if your product doesn't get noticed in that tiny, tiny window, well, it's pretty much invisible. The entire sales battle can be won or lost right there.
You know, for the longest time, brands just asked people what they liked. But here's the catch. What shoppers say they prefer often isn't what they actually grab. We call this the say-do gap. And why does this happen? Well, it turns out that up to 95% of our purchase decisions, they happen subconsciously. So we need a way to see what's really going on in that 3-second window. So how do we win that subconscious battle? Here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about that 3-second shelf battle. Then, we'll look at how to see through your customer's eyes. After that, we'll get into decoding the data, turning those insights into real action, and finally, making sure our new design actually works. I mean, think about it. The modern retail environment is pure visual chaos. It's just a storm of colors, shapes, messages, all of them screaming for your attention. To succeed, your package needs something we call stopping power. That ability to cut through the noise, stop a shopper dead in their tracks, and make them take a second look. So how do we measure something like stopping power? And that, my friends, is where eye tracking comes in. See, unlike a focus group where you're asking for someone's opinion, which can be fuzzy, eye tracking gives you the cold, hard facts. It doesn't ask what they noticed, it shows you their actual observed behavior, moment by moment. So let's peek behind the curtain. I mean, how does this even work? How do we turn a simple look into data we can actually use? Okay, so the very first thing you do is break your design down into key zones, or what the pros call areas of interest, or just AOIs for short. You know, is your brand name being seen? What about your main claim, like 100% organic? By defining these zones, you're basically turning your package design into a scorecard. You're making it measurable. And here's a perfect look at that in action. You literally just draw boxes around the stuff you care about, the brand, the claims, the cool picture. This way, you can finally answer questions like, which part gets seen first, or is anyone even seeing our most important message? This is how you get that super precise element-by-element feedback. Now, you're probably thinking this all sounds incredibly high-tech and really expensive. And honestly, 10 years ago, you would have been totally right. But the game has completely changed. You don't need a dedicated lab or any of that fancy hardware anymore. So there are these amazing platforms, like realeye.io, for example, that can use the standard webcam that's already in your laptop to get the super high-quality data. You can run studies from your desk with people from all over the world. And get this, if you need answers like right now, you can use AI tools like Realeye's Visual Attention Predictor. It gives you an analysis in seconds, showing you where people will probably look before you even talk to a single person. Super cool. Okay, so we've got our zones, we've collected the data. Now comes the really fun part, figuring out what it all means. Let's break down the key things you'll be looking at. All right, first up is a really big one, time to first fixation, or TTFF. It's just a measure of how quickly something gets noticed, and it's super simple. A low number is fantastic. It means that part of your design has awesome stopping power. A high number? Not so good. It means it's getting lost in the crowd. And this is where TTFF really shines when you're comparing different designs. So check out this table from a study on apple juice. It's pretty fascinating. Look at variant B. The brand name itself is a little slower to be seen, but wow, because the design is so clean, the product name just pops, fastest of the bunch at 1.6 seconds. Now compare that to variant D. Their key claims take almost 5 seconds to be noticed. I mean, they might as well not even be there. But it's not all just numbers. We've got some really cool visuals too. The one you'll see most often is the heat map, and it's so easy to understand. Red means hot, lots of attention. Blue and green are cold, not so much. You can see in a split second if your most important messages are in those hot zones. Now, these two visuals right here, they really tell the whole story. On the left, you have the gaze plot. Those dots and lines, that's literally the journey the eyeball took across the package. And on the right, the heat map kind of summarizes everything, showing you the final destinations where attention settled. So it's like one tells you how they looked, and the other tells you where they ended up. Okay, let's look at a real-world example from a serial study. Right away, you can see the hot zones are all over the product pictures and the brand names. No surprise there. But wait, look a little closer. See how the boxes on the ends are getting way more love? That's a classic thing called the edge effect. And that's not just some textbook theory, it's exactly why brands will pay big bucks for those end-of-aisle displays. That's prime real estate.
All right, we've got the data, we know how to read it. So what? What do we actually do with it? Let's walk through a quick case study and see how this all comes together.
Let's jump back to that apple juice study and look at variant A. So the data tells us the brand is doing great. People see the logo right away. That's a good start. But, and this is a huge but, the whole reason to buy the thing, the key claims and benefits, they're being totally ignored. It takes almost 4 seconds for them to be seen, and a third of people never even look at them. The package is saying hello, but it's not giving anyone a reason to stay. So with this kind of specific feedback, we don't have to guess anymore. The data is literally handing us the solution on a platter. We can make targeted changes, make the claims bigger, use a color that really pops, and move them into a proven hot zone near the logo. The whole goal is to create a super clear path for their eyes to follow. Brand, product, benefit. Boom. Okay, so you've used all this awesome data, you've created a new design, and you're feeling pretty good about it. But there's one last crucial step. You have to prove it actually works in the real world, where the money is. And the absolute best way to do that is a classic A/B test. It's simple. You put your old design, the control, in some stores, and your shiny new one, the treatment, in a similar group of stores. Then you just watch the sales data. And the key here is making sure your result is statistically significant, which is just a fancy way of saying it wasn't a fluke. And believe me, the results can be absolutely huge. There was this packaged salad brand, they did this exact same thing. They used eye tracking to find the weak spots, made targeted fixes, and tested it. And the result for them? A 15% lift in sales. I mean, come on! That's a massive return, all from just understanding where people look. So, at the end of the day, remember this. Your package is on that shelf, acting as your silent salesperson 24/7. And by using these tools, which are more accessible than ever, you can stop guessing if it's doing a good job. You can actually know. And you can make sure the answer to this question is a loud, confident yes.